probably better to start again. Look at what the fundamental reasoning to create it, which was really to allow for agencies that need to move forward with projects and help them to do that. So, I introduced a bill to repeal the PLDC, but I think that what's going to happen is more than likely there'll be a repeal of the agency in and of itself, but many of the functions that are needed, because many of the departments need that, will move ahead. For example, the 21st century schools, which is what we all want, to make sure that our schools are modern, have all of the equipment that they need, that the kids get the best learning chances possible. And that was the basis for the PLDC. So I think that element of it can move forward and can continue in another form.
I've spent a lot of time speaking with constituents, and from what I hear, a lot of people are really not in favor. And so in return, I signed the bill not to support the PLDC and to actually repeal it.
I think that when PLDC was first considered by the legislature, its idea had merit, and actually still does have merit. Unfortunately, its execution was badly flawed. And I personally think that we need to abolish PLDC. And if we do plan to carry forth some of the ideas that were behind it, we need to explicitly lay out which projects we are exempting from what regulations and why. To me, I think the projects need to be explicitly explained and therefore earn the public's trust and support for whatever projects we might feel merit such special consideration.
I'm a very strong proponent of investing and partnering to benefit our kids in the public schools. And I think that the PLDC, as it is defined and moves forward, visits the concept of 21st century schools and how we as a state and policymakers and a community come together and work to rebuild and reinvest in our public schools across the state. So I am a proponent of the concept of 21st century schools, and embedded in the PLDC and its legislation, I think are the kernels of the direction we need to head in. So if a school community has an old, dilapidated facility, and we have public school lands that are available, why not partner with others who have a similar mindset and develop a plan and build schools that are wired and prepare our kids, especially in the neediest communities, for the kinds of schools that they deserve.
Well, I voted for the PLDC when it came on the floor last year, and I think as soon as it became law, it was put under attack. And I don't think that's fair, because they haven't given the corporation a chance to work to do what their mission to do. And I think that word corporation throws a lot of people to think it's a private entity. It's not. It's a government agency. And it's good. I like it. I voted for it because I feel that somebody should be in charge of the public lands.
For the PLDC, I actually think that that legislation should be repealed, because it shouldn't be the state's jurisdiction or just whimsical right to do what they want with the public lands, especially those of Hawaiian homelands and the ceded lands. I think there should be larger conversations and consultations and organizations that are involved in making those real heavy and important decisions for land use in Hawaii.
Interesting question. I actually voted for the passage of that bill, but now I'm opposed to it. We really need to repeal that bill. It's not a good bill, and it's going to do more harm than good. The purpose of that was to allow an efficient, streamlined system to allow public lands to be used for business purposes. But the problem with it, as I look deeper into it, is that it eliminates a lot of our checks and balances, environmental permits, building permits. A number of other governmental agencies, as well as environmentalists, are not involved in the process. So I'm very concerned about this bill, and I think that the repeal is the right move. Although I voted for the measure when it passed, Act 55, I am totally against it now, and I think it just was part of the educational process. I didn't sit on that committee that passed it out. It came on the floor, and we just voted on it. And so this is an example of some bills just getting passed us too fast. It was unfortunate, but that's why we have the legislature, and if we pass out bad law, which we do at times, we have the ability to make corrections, and I'm not afraid to say that I was wrong, and I'm hopeful that my colleagues will also see it that way and that we can repeal this bill.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. Get